Okay.
What's
Okay.
poppin'?
Okay.
What's poppin'?
Okay. We're here.
What's poppin', y'all?
We made it.
Greetings and salutations to everybody. Welcome to the legendary Market Mondays. Iconic at this point. A lot to talk about since the last time that we spoke. There's always a lot to talk about. Crazy day in the market on Friday. Crazy day in the market today. A lot of people are nervous, panicking, not really sure. A lot of uncertainty. So, yeah, let's get to it. Let's get into it. Send out the back call real quick, and we're gonna
Home team, welcome.
get to it, man.
What's up? What's going on? The 23rd, it was a hot weekend out here in New York. It's hot, 95. Hopefully everybody stay safe out there. It was definitely warm out here. That's a fact. Shout out to everybody in the city of Atlanta. Shout out to all of y'all, all our family in Atlanta. What's up?
ATL, always, you know that. Whew. So while we waiting for Ian, we could just, talk about that real quick, make some announcements. Shout out to Ricky Rose, EYL alumni, Assets Over Liabilities alumni, and good dude, Rick Ross, for having us at his car show. And shout out to his whole team.
That's a fact. Shout out to Alex, shout out to Janelle. Nicole, what's going on? Shout out to y'all for making that happen. It was dope. Anytime we get to be with the boss,
Shout out to Lex.
Shout out to Lex. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Very inspiring. Very inspiring.
That's a fact.
So shout out to Ross, and also shout out to Halani for putting on a dope event, the CWO Women's Conference. We got a chance to go there.
Tapped in with that.
And that was dope.
Shout out to Jay Halani. What's going on? Mr. and Mrs. 2 weeks out.
And shout out to Eric Thomas.
That was incredible.
Legendary Eric Thomas. He had a men's conference. I actually just spoke to him. He called me a couple minutes ago. So shout out to ET. That's our guy, the whole family.
CJ,
shout
what
out
up?
to CJ. Shout out to Nikki.
Moose, what up?
Shout out to Moose. Shout out to the whole team over there. And Deion Sanders, we got a chance to see him speak. That was a very legendary situation.
Well, 9 to 5 millionaire was in the building.
9 to 5 millionaire Jamal for sure.
What is going on?
So
Jeremy was in there.
Jeremy,
what up, Jeremy Anderson?
Yes,
you owe me 50 push-ups.
So shout out to everybody, man. It was a dope weekend in Atlanta. Shout out to Josephine's Lounge. Shout out to my boy Smitty putting that together. We had a little after party vibes.
Yeah.
So it was dope.
Everybody was in there. Shout out to Trap, our brother. We had a great conversation on the way to Josephine's about perspective. Shout out to Alex, good energy. It's home team situation. Alex always makes sure we good when we in Atlanta. Shout out to him 500. Was with us. Aristotle pulled up on us too.
Yep.
Shout out to Aristotle Investments. That's our guy.
And shout out to 13th and Create for holding us down as always. So without further ado, we're gonna bring Ian up. I believe he's logged on, and get this show started. But just wanted to give a couple of quick acknowledgments before we started the show because had a jam-packed weekend this weekend in Atlanta.
Oh, he's right. Wait. We forgot somebody.
Cool.
Shout out to Griselda.
Oh yeah, Benny. Benny and Westside Gun. Shout out to the Zookeeper too. So yeah, we got a chance to see Benny the Butcher and Westside Gun perform. So shout out to them. All right, let's get this show. Let's get this show started. So while Ian is logging in, I'll let you guys know that InvestFest 2022. Get your tickets August 5th through August 2nd. I just got
7th.
That's what I said. August 5th through August 7th. I just got off the phone with somebody. Man, I'm telling you, I can't really announce everything yet, but trust me, it's better to get the early bird price. I'm telling you. Something that, it's just the whole vibe of culture when you have, entertainment mixed with, business and investing and then conversations and then vendors, food trucks. We got some more surprises this year and we added a few things this year, but just a really dope experience networking. It will be at least 8,000 people there this year. That's a fact.
Minimum.
At least. It will be at least 8,000 people there this year. Get your tickets, man.
Yeah, vendors.
It's going to be dope. Vendors, get your booths.
Don't play around. Get your booths. Stop playing. Early bird people have got their booths already. I think we got the numbers, I think, hit triple digits already. So make sure we've added more space for more vendors. We want to see more businesses. We want to support. We want to purchase. We want to patron with some more businesses. Make sure that y'all get a vendor booth. There's going to be a lot of people in there.
Can I have two, please, on the East Wing and West Wing?
Ian Dunlap.
I'm trying to make sure that the camera wasn't panning all crazy.
Oh, man, that's part of it, man. We loved it.
Yeah, part of the live show. How y'all doing?
Oh, we're great, man.
You on your Cameron pink flow.
You know, pink horsepower. Shout out to Cam.
Horsepower. Shout out to Killer Cam. Shout
I'm
out
in
to Killer
a silly mood
Cam.
today. We're gonna have some fun.
How was your event? I know you was in Dallas, Texas this weekend. How was that?
Yeah, it was amazing. I had a chance to meet Soledad O'Brien. So I was like excited about that. Ran into Damon again. Shout out to the Queen, MC Light, and everybody in Red Panda. I love y'all. Nicole, thank you for putting it together. Justin, Felicia, everyone who helped with the event. But yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Met a brother, and I'll talk about it in the presentation tonight, but I met a brother who started watching the show, and in 2 years, he's 24, became a millionaire from watching the show. Hadn't joined Red Panda, hadn't joined EYL. That's something like, just execute, man. Like, that got me so geeked. And kudos to the brother who introduced me. He was actually like, hey, can I be your photographer in Dallas? And it was his friend. I was like, man, that's what it's all about. So yeah, I was excited. Definitely excited.
That was incredible. How many questions did you get to ask Soledad? I know you was picking her brain.
Man, I didn't. It was real quick. So maybe at a later date I'll be able to.
Yeah, we had a conversation prior, like how I was like used to just watch everything she did from CNN to HBO Sports.
You and I both. I'm like, man, I know my mom was excited, so yeah, I was geeked.
Yeah. Congrats on that.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
You. I was at the event this weekend with the big boss.
It was inspiring. It was very, very inspiring, to anytime we get a chance. We've been there twice, and every time we go there, Ross, that's 174 acres. That's inspiring within itself, but just to see him be able to put something that massive in his front lawn, like literally, like, have
keyword front
hundreds of cars, hundreds of his own cars, and then hundreds of other people's cars, and then thousands of people at his house. Like, Ross really a boss. Like, you could just tell like how he moves. Like, everybody, his staff, most of them is like from his neighborhood, like, his homies that he grew up with, and they all answer to each other. And then like when he comes around, you realize like his presence is felt. Like, like when he comes around, like it's kind of hard to explain, but he really a boss. Like, he's not just saying that, he's really a boss. And he's really operating on a very high level and has been able to accomplish a lot with a little. If you really think about it, it's not like he sold 10 million records or he was, ever like the most popular person. He's not like Kanye West as far as, a global, as far as music sales and all of that, but he was able to come in and, get right to it, meet the right people, make the right relationships, and has been able to accomplish a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
I think the key is
definitely not a crypto guru.
The key is like what he said was it was his front yard. And so that was the biggest thing for me, was like when you see the amount of property that he owns and what he's been able to create from having a property is really inspiring. Like, it's interesting to see people who see the land for the first time. And I'm like, yeah, this is ridiculous, because there's so many other parts of the property that people didn't get to see. Like, he has a field and he has a farm with cows and bulls, but he has other ideas that he's planning. I think it's right when we said like, this is the Graceland of our generation, right? Like, there's a certain generation that grew up on Elvis and like we had to see Graceland. It's quickly becoming that. Aristotle actually told me a good story. He was like, he's from the area. And so growing up, he had drove past that property every day almost. He said the only time we ever stopped even to touch the property was when Evander Holyfield would have fireworks on July 4th, and everybody in the town and city got to come and watch it. So for him, it was like an emotional moment that he actually got to come in the property, have his car in there, and be around other entrepreneurs. So like just these little things of aspiration and inspiration, right? This kid has been watching this all his life, and now he's here. It was dope, man. But Ross has been able to use every asset possible to his disposal, right? Like, I have the land, let's create something. I have the cars, let's use them for something, right? I have connections, I have sponsorships, let's bring them in this project. So it's incredible, man. He's one of those guys, those special human beings that I don't think people are really gonna understand, right? They just think that this is a rap. This is deeper than rap. That's
one of the greatest hustlers of all time.
It's deeper than rap. That's a fact.
Yeah. So shout out to Ross, man. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show too. But it definitely a good dude. Um, did someone say recession? Shout out to him 500 on the check-in.
We gonna get to that.
Yeah, never misses an opportunity for marketing. Shout out.
We should have had on blue. My fault.
My fault. Him 500. Big conference this weekend.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that big conference this weekend in Las Vegas. So yes, recession-proof family. You already know what it is. Him 500. That's my guy, man. That's my brother. All right. So let's get into this. This week, Earn Your Leisure, big week as always. We have assets over liabilities dropping tonight, and then on YouTube on Wednesday. Shout out to Jamel Hill, highly respected journalist, super dope human being, and has been able to break barriers in a male-dominated industry. So, dope conversation about her inner workings in the sports world, some stuff that happened with ESPN, the whole genre that comes out tonight on Revolt. Tomorrow, we got a dope interview with my boy Humble. Humble is somebody that Charlemagne has been asking to get on EYL for a long time. He's Charlemagne's financial advisor. He's Issa Rae's financial advisor. He is Lonzo Ball's financial advisor. He has one of the top financial planning firms in the country, African, and represents a bunch of A-list celebrities and athletes, and full financial planning services. So his story is super dope. It's the first time we actually got a chance to actually speak to a financial advisor or a wealth manager. So that's near and dear to my heart, because that's what I was doing before this. So the way he's been able to scale his business and to manage hundreds of millions of dollars, and provide all types of services for his clients, from legal services to insurance to investing. Very, very dope conversation, and we got to highlight people like that, because the behind the scenes is dope to highlight the athletes and the rappers, but the people behind the scenes that's actually controlling their money, that's the people that you really need to know, A, and B, you need to highlight as well. So that comes out tomorrow, 8:00.
Yeah, I think it's one of, in my humble opinion, probably one of the top 3 stories that I've ever heard, just from an entrepreneurial standpoint. From where he started to where he's at is one of the most inspiring stories I've ever heard, especially on our platform. And so shout out to him. Shout out to Tony O too. And B. Wagner. He represents B. Wagner of the LA Rams now. So shout out to him. Yeah, I hope that the story is incredible.
Yep. So that's the rundown. Troy, you want to?
Yeah. Y'all know how this goes, man. Shout out to our family at Red Panda. Shout out to the earners. We want to let y'all know about a great choice if you're looking to bank or invest. Ally is a leading digital financial service company with passionate customer service, innovative financial solutions, and are relentlessly focused on doing it right for both customers and our communities. Get with Ally so that you can save, invest, and spend on the things that matter most to you. For everything we need, we're all better off with an Ally. Shout out to the team at Ally. Shout out to our UM family. Dave, what up? John, what up? Shout out to Erica and the whole Ally team, man. It is a blessing. More things to come. Stay tuned, alert.
Disclaimer.
That's fact. That's right. You know how this works. Do your own research. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important that you do your own analysis before making any investment based on your very own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you found on our show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. Please continue to do your research. Please continue to share your research with your people. That's how community grows. And shout out to our new earners who joined last week from our Ally sponsorship. We have 5 new ones tonight, so make sure y'all tune in at the end to hear your names, man. Shout out to all the new earners.
Yep. Ian, the floor is yours.
That's incredible. I love you guys so much. Thank you to everyone who had a chance to come to LA or Dallas to the JP Morgan event. Nicole, once again, thank you. We will have an open stock club call. So if you're in the Telegram, I will post the link there 5 minutes before we get started. The replay from tonight and the notes that I'm going to add will be put in tomorrow. Trading After Dark will be back very soon. Red Panda members, tonight I'm going to be giving cash apps. So after the presentation is done, towards the end, we're going to do some cash apps and put yes in chat if I've made you money. I love you guys. It's the greatest show on earth. Let's have a blast, man. It's going to be a good one.
Let's do it. Let's get it.
Let me share screen.
Humble Lukwanga is his name. His last name is pronounced Lukanga. For people that a couple people asked what his name was. Humble.
Let me know if you can hear it.
We can hear you. We can see you for sure. No sound yet though. You didn't play. You gotta press play.
Audio good?
Yeah. Nah, can't hear it. Is that from us? People saying that they can hear.
No, I don't hear anything on my side.
I don't hear anything.
Technical. Okay, let's see. Share sound. All right. Let me see. Let me fix this on my end real quick. I hit clear share sound. Yep, stereo. Let me unshare and do it one more time. What about now?
Nah.
Still nothing?
Yeah, still not. It's a little blurry too. Maybe the internet connection maybe issue, but yeah, I don't know.
Let's go to topics and then I'll get this fixed and then
call an audible on the play.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we gotta call an audible real quick.
let's call this audible. All right, let's go into
let me set up on my other top.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do this. Well, first, you want to talk about Taiwan?
Taiwan, as far as the potential of U.S. now saying that they're going to back them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, and we spoke about this a bunch of times, and Ian, I know, brought it up, but Taiwan is obviously, Taiwan Semiconductor is a company that we're very interested in. We know what the part they play in the world as far as semiconductors, having over 60% of them. To have a country like China try to invade could obviously lead to a takeover, which would obviously put them in large control over other things in the economy as well. And so the fact that the U.S. is deciding to step in or saying that they will in the event, we've seen it before with the U.S. saying that, hey, we're going to help a country. And obviously, that sometimes that backfires. So it's something to be mindful of. Hopefully, nothing happens. And hopefully, China will say, all right, well, it was just a threat proposal. But, we got to be mindful of it and be aware of the potential effects that could happen. So when you're making an investment, like I said, in a company like Taiwan, keep this in mind. Keep this in mind because it could affect us short-term and long-term.
Taiwan Semiconductors. Taiwan is an extremely important country because they're one of these countries. It's kind of like, I guess the best analogy I can give is like Puerto Rico, where technically like they're under the governance of China, but they're like their own country. But this has been a long issue for a long period of time. Hong Kong, similar situation.
Mm-hmm.
So for China to take over, obviously it's a very, very important economic power play right there, as you said, from a technology standpoint. And for America to play a part in that is done for strategic reasons.
Right.
Where, obviously with China becoming more and more of a superpower, and on pace to actually become the world's strongest economy
within the next 8 years.
Within the next year, like 10 years, something like that. This will just accelerate that. If China has full control over that. And then, of course, the alliance with China and Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have, strategic moves that are being made. So it's very important that at the very least, people be aware of that, because that obviously is going to play a part in not only the Chinese economy and the Asian economy, but the world economy as well.
Yeah. And we've seen it too. Like we've seen the news, right? We've seen the news that there's fighter jets that are flying over Taiwan. And so the threat level gets pretty high, especially from a proximity, right? Like if we have to have a strategic placement to even try to help. So again, wars never help the economies. It doesn't help world economies. We can see that right now with Russia and Ukraine. If we add that, we're already in a bear market in our economy. Can you imagine two conflicts happening at the same time, simultaneously, and one that can completely devastate a sector?
Yeah.
Completely devastate.
Well, so, and then also I wanted to, since we got a minute before Ian jumps back on, I think it's good to kind of have a beginners 101. Because when Ian was talking to Slim Thug the other day, he had asked like, what is a bear market? And somebody had commented like, can you just have like a beginning session? Yeah. So I realized a lot of times with Market Mondays is it goes very quickly and it's like high level conversation, but I think it's important to kind of get back to the basics. So
can we, before you start, can we just say like the humility from Slim Thug?
Shout out to Slim Thug.
Right? Like to say that, you know what, people are looking at this man as a hip hop legend from the South, right? Has made a lot of money in his music career. But just the humbleness to say, look, nah, I don't know what that is. Like, we don't do that. Like, we don't do that. We're so like, yeah, no, I've heard of it. He's like, nah, I don't know. And he allowed us to actually explain things to him. Like, that just shows you the level of character this man. He's a good dude.
Yeah. So let's just talk about this real quick. There's a few indexes that when people say the stock market is up or the stock market is down, they're not talking about every single stock on the stock market. They're referring to indexes, and they're referring to usually a few indexes, mainly the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ. There's a few others like the Russell 2000, but most important are the S&P 500, the NASDAQ is important, the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones is like a household name, but it's probably not as important as the S&P 500. So what these indexes represent is kind of like microcosms of the market. So when you thought the S&P 500, which stands for the Standard & Poor's 500, that's 500 companies that make up the stock market. Mm-hmm. So you have 500 companies from all different areas of the economy, and they make up the stock market, right? Yeah. So now that's an index that you can actually invest in. Yeah. So you're talking about like SPY. SPY that's the index. So if you go on, your Robinhood account, or if you go on Fidelity or TD, you can buy the S&P 500 index.
Let me just add something to you real quick. So like when we talk about a microcosm of the economy, so it's 500 companies, but it's from all sectors. So a lot of people are like, y'all only know a couple of sectors. So I'll give all the sectors and you keep going. So that's energy, materials, industrials, consumer discretionary, consumer staples, healthcare, financials, information technology, telecommunication services, utilities, real estate. So all those sectors inside of an index.
So yeah, so what happens is you hear a bull and bear market. When the index pulls back 20% or more, that signals a bear market. So we are already in a bear market for technology. The NASDAQ has been negative 20%.
Yeah, we're down 29.
But the S&P 500 and the Dow, they just reached that level. I know the S&P just reached that level on Friday.
Yeah, we had a conversation Thursday, and I'm like, nah, we're in the bear market. You're like, nah, not by definition. I'm like,
yeah, not by definition.
By definition, we weren't. But the next day we were.
And then Friday we entered the bear market. Yeah, it was a strong comeback today. Mm-hmm. Looks like. So what happens is that during bear markets, that's obviously when the market is down, right? And usually it's important to know the historical data on this because that's the best way to kind of predict the future. Usually bear markets last like 8 months on average. So what happened is that in 2008, that was our last real bear market. And we didn't have another bear market until 2020 when Corona first hit.
Right, the shortest.
Now, the problem with that was the shortest bear market in American history because the government put so much money into the economy that it propped it up, and it went from being the shortest bear market to also the quickest recovery in history as well. And that's when a lot of people got in and they made a lot of money from anything, GameStop to Apple to everything that you really think of was up during that period of time. But that's not normal. Two things aren't normal here. A, bear markets don't usually take that long to occur, and then they don't take that short to recover. So what we're looking at now is that we're probably at some point in time, I've been saying this for a long time, at some point in time, we would do for another bear market, a real bear market. So this Absolutely. Looks like this has the potential to be a real bear market, meaning it's going to last, might last 8 months, it might last a year, it might last 6 months, but it's going to be a real bear market because we're not going to be afforded the same luxuries that we were before as far as propping up the economy because the reason why they just can't keep printing money like they did last time is that inflation is high. So inflation is at like a, 30-year, 20-year high right now. So the problem with printing money is that you devalue the money. That causes inflation. So now what they're trying to do is taper off inflation. So that's why they're raising interest rates. So they raise interest rates to make money harder to get, right? So they keep interest rates low because now that's cheap money. It's easier to get. When you start raising interest rates, that makes money harder to get, right? So that's done. That's done to taper inflation. But another thing that they have to do to taper inflation is stop printing so much money. So it's a catch-22 because if they stop printing so much money, then you're not going to be able just to bail out the economy like they've done the last two times. Because even in 2008, they printed a bunch of money. And then 2020, they printed a bunch, they printed even more money. But this time, they're not going to have the luxury of printing so much money because they have inflation, along with a couple other things. So add that with wars that's currently happening in Russia and Ukraine, the threat of China, instability in the job market, housing market. We have to see how this is going to play out. So I say this to say, it looks like we are headed towards not only a bear market, but it also looks like we're headed towards a recession. So
we're already there, technically.
So the best way to benefit from that, is to actually even know, be prepared, and actually have cash on the sideline that you can actually make investments too. So it's a double-edged sword whenever these type of events happen for anybody that's new, because a lot of people just came into the stock market in 2020 and they only experienced good times, and now that counts as red and they're panicking. So the negative side of it is that you're going to be losing money if you're in long-term positions in your holding. That's the negative side of it. But the positive side of it is that, and this is from experience, like I actually studied this stuff, the biggest return, like if you look at 2008, like it was like down 40%, but then the year after that, it was up 60%. Usually when the stock market goes down the hardest, that's where you see the biggest increase the next year.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity for not only for you to get your money back that you might have lost, but there's also opportunity to invest and then have, accelerated growth, because usually the biggest growth years happen after the worst time. So that's true in life. Like it's like a life analogy. Usually the best times happen after the worst times, but you have to be able to ride out the worst times to experience the best times. So it's going to be opportunity. It's going to be opportunities, but there's also going to be losses. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be losses, and there's going to be a lot of pain. And there's no magical wand that we can just do just to accelerate this and say, okay, next week is going to be good, or next month is going to be good. You're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to be financially responsible. But as Leon Howard once said, you do always make money. You make more money in a drought.
It's fact.
That's true.
Yeah. And I think that's like one of the keys that when we talk about financial planning is like having reserves. So if you had reserves, like even if you have it in a brokerage account right now, and you're talking about, yes, you're going to take a hit right now, but you also have opportunity, if you have reserves, to have some really good entry points. And so when we talk about turnarounds, right, in 2008, when the market crashed, look at a company like Apple's 10-year chart or 12-year chart since that point. Look at Microsoft's chart since 2008. And so when we talk, like, imagine if you had those reserves and you were able to deploy those reserves in some of these positions and let them grow. So that's why it's important. Like we say, be patient, but also have money in reserves. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your eggs in, or all your cash. I ain't gonna say eggs. We're talking about real things. Don't put all your cash in one investment. Make sure you have reserves, because, and we said this in 2008, and we said it at the start of the pandemic. When the time comes, we need to be ready. 2020, we positioned. 2008, straight up, I wasn't positioned. I was like, damn, I wasn't ready for this. And I said, we can't let that happen again. And so this is another chance for us to actually get into some positions at some really, really low prices, some undervalued prices, and just keep them long term. Look at the chart.
Once again, only top 5. If I can squeeze that in, Mike, please clip this up. Only the top 5 companies on earth. Does it make sense why I've been screaming that for the last 2 years? If so, please put yes in chat. The 55th best company is going to get destroyed as inflation goes up. Quantitative easing is out the window. Now we're in a cycle of like tightening or quantitative destruction. Focus on the top 5. Investing is really easy if you just follow the blueprint and the plan. 2 Tech 2 Index, top 2 companies, crypto, top 2, real estate, top 2 markets, entrepreneurship, top 2 markets. Everything is smooth after that. I know you want to gamble, but the reason why a lot of people want to trade first instead of invest is because they didn't have the discipline to buy the same companies over and over again for 5 years, and you're trying to make up for lost time. You cannot make up for lost time, no matter what you do.
Yeah. And I see some people asking, why is TSM so important? obviously we said they control 6% of the semiconductors in the world, but listen to their customers. These are the customers, their clients, right? Their number one client is Apple. You might have heard of this company, right? The wealthiest American company right now. 25% of their revenue share comes from Apple. AMD is a client. Qualcomm is a client. Broadcom is a client. NVIDIA is a client. Sony is a client. Intel is a client. And so we're talking about pretty much every aspect, from cars to fridges to your computers, all these things, your cameras, all these things that pretty much we use on an everyday basis that are part of our lives.
Yep.
They're making the technology so that those things can be functional. If that company is compromised, this is a real global effect.
And also another thing that I'll say is that you run a tremendous risk by investing in individual stocks. This is the reality that nobody's going to tell you. It's extremely risky when you invest in individual stocks, especially if you are a novice or you're not an expert. And even if you are an expert, you run a lot of things are out of your control when you invest in individual stocks. This is why the index play is the reason why like Warren Buffett and these guys say like individual investors should invest in index funds. They actually are trying to protect people from hurting themselves. Not to say that you can't make money from individual stocks. I never said that, but it is way more risk involved with individual stocks. If you want to be a little bit more riskier, you can do the ETFs, which gives you, sector specific exposure. But when you start investing in individual stocks, you run the risk of things that are out of your control because things just happen. Like even we talked about like Facebook, or you could be one of the strongest companies. Facebook's one of the strongest companies in the world. I think it's like fifth as far as their market cap, but they didn't meet their projections and they lost billions of dollars in market cap in one day, and it dropped almost like $100. So, I mean, yeah, it's not like that's that's like a penny stock or just a stock. Like, that's a company that's a strong company that we use every single day. That's one of the top 10 companies, one of the top 5 companies in the world. And Netflix, another company that just fell off you don't see any strong index or any strong ETF move in that right direction. So I won't beat a dead horse because I understand that stocks are sexy and, that's what, people want to, invest in and all of that. But just understand that when you invest in individual stocks, you run a tremendous risk of losing money. It's just a historical fact. Yeah. You look at the data.
Focus on the top 2.
Yeah. I mean, Microsoft's a great company, right? But when the economy is down, it's going to go way down with it. So it was at 349 at its peak, or 359. Right now it's at 260. It's not that Microsoft didn't meet its earnings and it didn't have great future guidance. The economy's down.
Yeah.
And I also say this too, like if you guys listen, like a lot of you are just getting your ass kicked because you didn't listen. Neo, no good. Palantir, no good. Rivian, no good. Lucian, no good. What other ones did you guys throw? Doge is dying. Gave a price for you guys to get into that. Luna, Tether will be next. Like a lot of please write this in chat. If Ian gives me the picks and I make all the money, I'm the genius. Meaning you. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like ChargePoint, it was a bunch of them that people were throwing around, and I'm like, they have no revenue at all. Like, honestly, some of the businesses you guys were investing in, we make more revenue than and higher net profit. Yeah. In a recession, focus and hunt. Go through 2,000 companies to find 4 or 5. And I pray we can get this video going tonight. Jen, I'm emailing to you as well if it doesn't work on my end. But I'm begging you to hunt for 5 quality companies that you will hold on to if your life depended on it. That's it. That's it.
Let's get into these talking points. What are 3 pieces of advice you want when building it? Well, actually, let's take the business question. Let's talk about the portfolio since we're in investment. What's the biggest mistake that you see people making when they show you their portfolios in person? It happens to me all the time. It happens to Troy all the time. I know it happens to you all the time. People walk up to us and actually show us like, this is what Slim Thug did it. this is what I'm invested in. So what's the biggest mistake that you see when people show you their Robinhood account when you see them in person?
Number 1, too many picks. The average person I see has 10 to 20 picks. You cannot do proper analysis on all of them. It's tough. Fellas, same thing. If you're trying to date 10 to 20 women at one time, it sounds good on paper, and action and philosophy, terrible idea. Same outcome: divorce, broke, unhappy, miserable, right? Number two, not having a thesis that you've tested. So I know for Tech 2 index, if inflation gets to 15%, my model is destroyed. I then have to go to my second bag of investing. So regardless of what you're investing in, I'm like, hey, why do you like this company? It's usually because somebody else told them, and they don't know all the pros and cons of that company. And then number three, not put enough capital into the ones they believe in. So people will like spread, say you have 5,000, they'll put 100 here, 100 here, 200 here, 300 there. And then it falls apart. And it's like you had two winners that you could have made 10x on, but you didn't heavily invest. So when you like minimize the number of companies that you're going to invest in, if you go Google right now, the quote that Warren Buffett says about diversification, if you are truly diversified, you're doing it wrong. There's a class of information for people who don't know, who won't listen, who won't execute. And then there's the real set of information. You want to concentrate really heavy. So like when Coca-Cola was Warren Buffett's big position in the 90s, what percentage of his portfolio was it? And then if you go look at Apple right now, which is his number one position, how much of his portfolio does it hold? Like people don't put in enough into their winners. And I try and tell you guys, they have one hoodie, one t-shirt. Why? That shit's working. That's Jordan. They could have made 19 other shirts like most companies do. That's how most fashion lines and merch lines fall off. They don't ride their winners long enough. So minimize the number of stocks that you have, know why you're investing in them and what are the pros and cons. Like if Tim Cook tomorrow leaves Apple, boy, it may be 2 days before I'm done, unless he names a successor that has been with him for 10 years. And then once you find your winners, you got to put enough money into them in order for them to work in your favor.
That's a valuable lesson. You know what the interesting part about that, and that's something you learn, right? Like we originally had like 7 different slogans on t-shirts. We saw the one that was working. All right, no need to invest in the other ones. Yep. This is going to be the model going forward. I think the other thing is when they show us their portfolios, they'll say, look, I heard Ian say this, I heard you, I heard Rashad say this, but I found this other company that I'm looking into and I want to put money in. It's trying to find the next thing when the first thing is here. Like, I feel like when we look at portfolios, it'll be like, yo, this is new marijuana company that I just heard about. That I'm like, well, all right, bro, but like there's this company over here that's actually profitable right now that you might want to look into, right? There's somebody that makes this phone that you're showing me on that you probably want to look into as well. And so trying to find the next thing a lot of times in their portfolios, or even like there'll be companies, I'm like, well, how'd you even hear about this company, right? Like trying to find the next thing to have that big like uptick and that payday, right? Everybody's looking for that next payday. So I'm just like, all right, we stress these things for a reason. We're stressing these companies for a reason. They're proven, they're productive, they're profitable. We went through, like, I personally told a story about Luke and coffee, and Shadi reminds me, and Ian always reminds me. And when I see Traps sometimes, he reminds me. I literally had to go through that to tell you that I did that so that nobody else hopefully would make that type of decision or mistake. Yeah, it happens, right? Like it could be the next Starbucks. Oh, all the research in the world, nothing can tell you, hey, they falsified documents. Oh, wait, that changes things. You see what I'm saying? So you leave yourself susceptible to things like that when there's already a proven company in the space.
You have to hold good companies, even in bad times. You got to hold good companies in bad times. So if you're invested in a company that is a strong company, if you're invested in a strong index, a strong ETF, and it's down right now, that just means that you just invested at the wrong time. But don't sell the investment. You have to wait. And don't get overly excited by days like today when the Dow Jones is up 600 points. It's a fight between bulls and bears. What happens is that it's just like, a regular, boxing match, right? Like you fighting, and it's like a tug of war. But at one point, one side is going to win. And, you might have short-term victories, but that doesn't necessarily mean you won the war. This is headed south. I don't know. I don't want to put my whole reputation on saying this, but it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. So it's not like one good day is going to change everything. It'll probably be red tomorrow. So don't get overly excited by, a great day in the market, because a bad day is coming. And bad days are coming. But the good news is that it's almost impossible that you won't recover if you hold for a long period of time, if you're in good companies.
Yeah. I think what you said is like 8 months bear market.
On average.
On average, in 8 months in the span of a lifetime or an investment, that's not a long time.
And it rebounds usually the best after that. So just be prepared, but you gotta wait.
And also I want to say and let them know, please write this down. Some of the most volatile upswings in the market, some of the best bullish days are during a down cycle in a recession. So tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday historically are down days. Monday and Friday are up. You may get a 900-point day one day and be like, okay, this is the end of it. And then we're going to slide back down violently. I've told you guys the levels like that 3,700 level where we may like dance around and then towards the end of the year go up. But as you said, please be careful thinking that just because one day, especially for those of you who are trading, if you don't know out of 100 trades how many you're going to win, stop trading until October, November. Practice. You should have practiced 2020 and last year. Now is not the time to play. If you practice through this recession, though, when things stabilize and become easy, it's going to be like taking candy from a baby. But yeah, if you're investing in great companies, this is how you know. If you have to ask, is this company good? Will this company do well in a recession? Will it do good after a recession? It's not a good company. Let it go. Same when you're dating, like, somebody good. If you have to ask your sister or your auntie, hey, what you think of Ray terrible? He terrible.
Shout out to Ray.
Yeah.
Either you're gonna stay. Yeah, shout out Ray. Yeah. Either you're gonna stay or not. But this is not the time to play. This is not going to be like 2020 where everything recovers really fast because the venture market is going down. The housing market next year is going to pop. Those prices are going to come down. Automotive prices are going to come back down. And we haven't even gotten to the megalodon of all debt, which is the student loan crisis, which may hit in 24, 27.
Yeah. And the reality is you have to ask you one thing I forgot. Because everybody's like, what about puts and puts? When we spoke about puts and how to short the market, and we're actually going to have a YouTube live on 8:00 on Wednesday about how to short the market and puts. But the reality of it is that you're still probably going to lose money. I'm just going to be honest with you. We're going to show you on Wednesday. We're going to have a whole class showing you step by step how to do puts, how to short the market, how to make money when the market goes down. But you're still probably going to lose. It's just the reality of it that most people aren't disciplined enough to actually follow a game.
Oh, we're having honest talk today. Oh my God, Shotty, keep going.
Yeah, somebody was just asking about inverse ETFs, and I'm glad you just talking about.
We're gonna give you as much information as you need, and some people will make money from the information that's provided, but it's intangibles that go into play, and when you become emotional. And it's just human nature. It's not even nothing negative towards people. Where I just know I've been in the industry. I've seen it. People get scared. You could tell somebody, don't sell this position. And as soon as they start to lose money, they selling it.
Then you want to have a conversation about it. Why? Same with inverse ETFs. I've said it before. Mike, Nikki, clip this up. UVXY, if you hold it 3 to 5 days maximum, you're not Michael Burry.
No. Slow down and say it again because people will, wait, well, I held it for 5 months. No.
UVXY, 3 to 5 days. This is the truth. Since Shotty got me on my truth bag, right? We tell the truth. If you're not holding stocks for 10 years and you're not practicing every day, on episode 70, I came out and said, hey, long-term and trading, and y'all tried to remix it. Call the options pit in Chicago because the futures and options pits are tied together. If you can get somebody who's a veteran on the phone, ask them, what percentage of all options trades in the last 20 years have ended profitable? I did it with futures. I know ESZB, UB, how many ended profitable. You have to play with the numbers that are in front of you. If you're trying to short this market now, you're late. I told you October, a crash was coming. Bezos sold off damn near all of his stocks. Chamal said it. Elon said it. A month later. A lot of times, if I can be honest, and I'm going to be in my most humble and zen space, you're waiting for somebody white to validate the shit that I'm telling y'all when I'm better than the people who y'all listening to. Dave called me. Frederick called me. I'm ready to go. Shotty, We need 20 movies in the next 10 years. Bad Boys 5, 6, the Mike Lowry spinoff. If I were to perform like Kathy, and I love Kathy, I hate that they did that tour. They're doing it to Sailor right now. Man, if I were to perform like her, y'all would have killed me. But y'all waiting for validation. No CRISPR's no fucking good. No Teladoc is no fucking good. I'm sorry. Now, and let's be real honest, we came into the market beating our chests. Oh, we're going to get reparations from this. You don't think they heard that? Guess what? Y'all gonna get reparations for real. Great. Let me fuck this market up. The entire venture capital, startup, long-term investing, short-term, wait till they raise these margins at the end of the year for trading on futures and options. Real estate, automotive, every space you can be in. They crashed the market at one time.
Don't forget
they
crypto.
Made an example out the Luna kid just to prove a point.
It was it was spooky on Friday. You saw Tether was down 10 billion. Spooky.
And the kid had a failed project before. Great idea. This is what so some of you were saying in the YouTube comments, Ian talking all ethereal, acting like he Nas with the. So I'm gonna be real with you. When you choose to have a stable coin, you're now competing against the Federal Reserve, mutual funds, annuities, insurance companies, and hedge funds. Boy, you pick some bad opponents. Why? Because they are the ones who are selling safety. Tether and Luna is non-stepped on with fentanyl. They're going to make it sure. Okay, great. Now they crash that market. They're going to kill Tether and then come in and say, here is our version of a stable coin, because you can only get that product through us.
Let me show you what stable looks like.
Be careful. Whenever you are saying we are going to take over an industry, and I'm glad you guys see it now at AMC and GameStop, how much that is falling. Those people that were leaving hedge funds, that were tired of being tied to hedge funds and could not exit, they led that revolution and used us, the people, as liquidity to get out of the jobs they no longer wanted to have. There is no we the people. It is the 1%, 0.01%, and then us. They're not going to get, why don't they tell us to invest in water and then tell us we could have invested in crypto 10, 15 years ago, or give us a chance to buy into FTX or crypto.com or Binance? There's a reason why. They're using us as liquidity. This is the part of Snowfall. What was old girl name that was going to Spelman and got hooked?
Oh, what happened?
Keisha. She got hooked on drugs.
Yeah, Franklin's first girl.
Franklin's girl. All of us in the market are Franklin's girl. But they're telling us this is how the game is really played. And for those of you that have been on the mortgage side, 2008, those of you that have been investing for a long period of time, you've seen they destroyed the Forex market and drug all of them to crypto and did the same thing they used to do in Forex. And then it happened before in penny stocks. It's the same group of people. That's why I said if you can trade one thing, you should be able to trade all, because the players are going to move. Be careful. But when you are saying that we're going to overthrow a gut, that's why those of you some of you hate my decentralized take. I get it. Y'all read the white paper that was written in 2009. I get it. Every business plan should go through updates at least every 3 months. But if you're telling me that plan, okay, great. So y'all let a nameless, faceless person dictate to you what to invest in. But when I tell you what to invest in is wrong. Why? Because of my hue and then my demeanor. Man, these people are laughing behind the scenes. I was the first one to tell you about the big banks being involved in crypto, but I don't know crypto. Okay, great. Wait for this next hat trick they pull off. Avalanche 2. You pick. There is no product that this for everybody who in the streets. If you have a product and you get hot and you don't get permission, what you gonna do? Ray, I need some of that. Cartel business model came from the Vatican, and that is the reason why that priests cannot marry. So when they pass on what property rights they do on to the Vatican. How many properties does the Vatican own? Whew. It's a different level. So I know, and that's why humbly, gracefully, no pineapple juice, just papaya and alkaline water. Even be careful for those who talk bad about us, because you notice during a time of recession, none of them are given to you right now. Not in deed, not in money, not in tips, not in advice. It's a dirty game, man. Like all the money that floats around in here. And then these are just the people that I know that I've made millions. They've made millions. Collectively, us watching. If there's, let's say, 200,000 people that open accounts, and let's say the average was 15,000 put into those accounts over the last 2 years, how much money is that? So some of you were going to war in your neighborhoods for $10,000. It's a lot of money. It's the dirtiest game on earth, but if you can master it, you can be a kingpin legally. That's my dissertation.
Yeah, we are all Melanie is trending right now. Shout out to Melanie.
Approaching 9,000 on the check-in.
Yes.
Shout out to everybody on YouTube. Hit the like button. We got a lot more information in store. This is going to be.
It's going to be one of those. Yeah. Real quick before you start, Shark, I know when we try to tell people to do their research and use indicators. So obviously we talk about the VIX. I believe like maybe on the first episode of Market Mondays, you talked about the Fear and Greed Index. So I was just wondering, do you know where it's at right now?
Oh, let me look right now.
A whopping 14 is the score out of 100. So 0 being the lowest extreme fear up to 100, which would be extreme greed. We are at a 14 right now. And so I believe like we spoke about that when we see extreme fear, that's when we want to say, all right.
Explain. It's almost 9,000 people on YouTube.
You want to give it, Ian?
Yeah.
So if you go to Google and you'll see one from CNN. So for those of you that are Republican, your skin may catch on fire for 30 seconds when you look at it. But the Fear and Greed Index tells you where we are. It's like a sentiment indicator, or it's like a heat map for how people feel. So ideally, if it gets to 0 or 1, you want to invest as much as you can. It's the simplest indicator to know when to invest. When we got to 100 or 97, that means everyone was so high on the market and the gains of the market. It was unbelievable. You don't want to invest there. You want to invest from the 0 to 10 range. We're almost there. If you want to never think about investing and never have to look at charts, look at the Fear and Greed Index. And when it's 10 or low, buy. When it gets to 90 or above, you want to stop buying. Yeah. This is for top 5 companies only.
Yeah. And for context, right? So in November of 21, right, last year, the Fear and Greed Index was at a 75. 75. This is around the time we were saying like there's a pullback that's coming, pullback is coming. So obviously in the 75 is extreme greed. And so that's just complete contrast to where we're at now. We're at extreme fear.
Where are we at right now? 19?
We were at earlier this morning, we were at 11. We got up, obviously it was green today, so it went up to a 14.
14?
Yeah, 14.
Yeah. And if you guys really want to do some homework, please write this down. See what the Fear and Greed Index levels are without quantitative easing. If I can be honest, and Shadi touched on it before with tech, if you look post 2008 through 2020, without quantitative easing and Obama choosing to save the disaster that Bush caused, tech will probably be like the 4th best industry to be in. That's the scary part. These are inflated gains. Like all this capital has flown around, right? And where did they go to? Messaging apps that look like remakes of Black Planet and Instant Messenger. When we were kids, 2022, man, I thought I could have had a car that could have took me to Mars by now, right? Boy, the Tesla auto drive feature doesn't even work as well as it should for most vehicles. So it's mismanagement of capital, but they cared about who they can get control of. Notice most of the angel and venture money goes to corporations or founders that have very little capital, very little control so that they can control them. Think of the venture capital companies as record labels. So the same way they would target, I won't say prey, would target those without capital, because capital leads to power. You can then take over a company. The thing that I do love that Mark Zuckerberg did, he has majority control and shares of his company. For every entrepreneur, make sure you keep that. Don't ever get in a position where a group or one people can push you out of your company. It happens a hell of a lot. So please be careful. We just need better companies to produce better results. And if you read the Ray Dalio book, the number one reason why I'm afraid for America, if China passes us up and going back to TSM, if they get TSM, that is the infinity stone. Because now and people will say, no, they wouldn't take over Taiwan and not control it the way that they would in China. I'm like, but the purpose of acquiring land, property, talent, people is to have them under your control. So then they can then control what deal flow and supply chain comes here. And now you can really go on an attack and destroy the companies of the week here. That's why I put it in Telegram today. Like, that is a chess piece we cannot lose. We lose Taiwan, that would be like, you ever watch a game and somebody hit a three and that's a dagger, but it's 2 minutes left. There's nothing we can do if they take over Taiwan and get TSM from us. It's game over.
Game over, ladies and gentlemen. So when Ian refers to the top 5 companies, I'm just going to say that the top 10 companies market cap. This is the market cap. This is the size of the companies. Saudi Aramco is the largest company in the world.
Number one.
Number one company in the world. Apple is number 2. Yep. Microsoft is number 3. Google, Alphabet is number 4. Amazon is number 5. Tesla is number 6. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company, is number 7. Meta, better known as Facebook, is number 8. TSM, this is the company that we've been talking about, Taiwan Semiconductor, is number 9. And Johnson & Johnson is number 10.
Yep. So, everybody put in chat what does Saudi Aramco specialize in?
Okay.
That will tell you why.
There we go. Earn his own point. Shout out to all y'all. I see y'all.
Yes. There you have it with the top 10 companies in the world. And what do you also notice about that list?
A lot of American companies.
That's one thing. That is one thing. That is one thing. Yes, mostly tech. Mm-hmm. Good job, Ian. You get the star. You get a star today.
No stars. No stars. We stopped doing that in school. I'm joking.
7 of the 10 companies are tech companies. So to say that tech is over, I think is grossly exaggerated. But to say that it's overinflated is a different story. And every tech company is not the same. Just because you're a tech company does not make it, a 10 times X valuation and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. The same thing happened with .com. When .com bubble burst, it didn't mean that every single, website was devalued. It just means that, there was a lot of websites that just wasn't worth anything. Same thing with crypto. Mm-hmm. History repeats itself.
Yeah.
It didn't, when crypto crashed a few years ago, it didn't mean that crypto was done. It just meant that a lot of those coins and a lot of those projects, and now we're seeing it with NFTs. The NFT market is down 90%. That doesn't necessarily mean that the ideas of NFTs is never going to be here, and the idea of it is a bad idea. It just means that a lot of NFT projects aren't good. It happens all the time.
Yeah, most have no value.
Most everything has no value.
But that's the key. Like, that's the key.
But that's a fact.
Hold on, that's a great take though. Even publicly traded companies, I would agree.
Yeah, it's a fact. Fact of life.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is that even in these times, like, and I know it's like one of the bullet points was like, what should we be thinking about in this climate if we're trying to create a business? Add value. You got to figure out what the value is. Like, how can you change life? So a lot of companies are created in economic downturn, right? Like, if you go back to the history, like, I literally went back and read like the top 20 companies that were created during recession. There's companies that Disney, Microsoft, even most recently, Uber, Slack, Airbnb, Venmo, all these companies were created because of a value add, right? So like, if you look at the history of Uber, right? The founders, they couldn't get a taxi in Paris, France. Sparked an idea that can add value to everyone's daily life. Same thing with Airbnb, right? 2008 happened. People couldn't afford to go to hotel accommodations. People trying to find sources of revenue. Airbnb idea gets sparked. So somebody's going to create, the new company is coming, right? Because somebody's going to think of a value add that can change the lives of people. Even Venmo, and like telecommunications. I was looking at one that was like MailChimp. I'm like, MailChimp. I remember that from the .com. I'm like, MailChimp, but they changed the business model in 2009, right? Rather than saying from an everyday person, let's get corporate accounts with large email services. and that could be a new business model. So when you can add value or find a value add that change people's lives, definitely in these times, in the long run, you got a chance to be successful.
Yeah. The origin of Red Panda was birthed out of a recession. And for my entrepreneurs, man, I know I shouldn't say it, but man, go 100 times harder. Some of you legit, like the brother I talked to in Dallas, venture space, man, 3-4 years, he should be worth 30-40 million easily. Some of you, and I told my brother the same thing last night, Troy, it's funny you said it. Most of the great companies are birthed out of a recession because now it's a changing of a guard. I know some of you are worried about the great reset, but it comes down to what problem can I solve that no one else on the world can solve that is needed right now. So when 2020 came, like, it's not coincidence that we launched Market Mondays in the last quick recession. Nobody would have wanted it in 2019. For those of you who've been a Red Panda when everything was good, 2015, 2016, oh, I don't need it. I'm good. And then shit hit the fan, and now it's like, yeah, now I need some help. For those of you that have businesses, go harder. And there's going to be a contraction even in people marketing. I would eat up all the ad space that you could if you know what your numbers are to break out. Because once it's over, you're going to have trust. The people who were afraid to buy or didn't have the money to buy will now come in your ecosystem. And now you're going to be able to pass up a lot of competition. Let's be real. Do you guys hear from me, Market Mondays, Troy and Rashad, more, or do you hear from your broker, 401k manager, financial advisor more?
Not even close.
As much as y'all love Kathy, I love her dearly. A lot of y'all are never going to get a chance to meet Kathy.
Not even close. And
not gonna happen.
One thing before we go to the next question is the bad thing about recessions and economic downturns is that a lot of businesses will fail.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing about it is that the businesses that do succeed, you automatically become an authority in the space because you survived the worst times. And it's unfortunate to say, but I mean, you have less competition. So Absolutely. Now you automatically become an authority, even if by default you become an authority in the space, and people need your services even more.
Mm-hmm.
So from a business owner standpoint, a recession can even make or break you. But we've always done better during economic downturns. Even now, there's 9,100 people on the live because, and shout out to everybody on YouTube, hit the like button, but people are more receptive to information when times are bad. It's a weird thing with psychology, but when times are bad, you realize that education is the only thing that can save you.
Mm-hmm.
But we was doing this before. Even when times are good, you kind of get spoiled. We still have a loyal support. But when times are bad, now you realize that the information that they taught you in college is not going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10. And this is coming from somebody that has a college degree. But I have a liberal arts degree from a state college. If I had to rely on that to provide for me, I'd be in trouble.
I got you, bro.
And the truth is, even with school, the only requirement that school is supposed to do is to give you an education and a degree. It didn't say anything about making you rich or even giving you a competitive advantage. School in itself, Dom, stop me if I go too far. School itself is a product of banks in its current form. When you can't discharge the debt from your educational loans, who does that benefit? If there was a way that I can lobby to make every person on earth have to join Red Panda, you think I'm gonna turn that down? Man, take me to Pelosi right now. So you think her husband good? Boy, me and Pelosi get together, we really pump the market up. Everyone is going to look for their own advantage. So now you have housing, which the American dream was sold to us, but it was a dream really for the corporations that owned the product. Going back to fiend culture. Now you have education. Now you have death. So now I got you at the most important part of your life. Now, if we factor in child support and marriage, now I have you at the 5 cornerstones of your life. And now I have you hooked to my product endlessly. This is how the elite think. So when you're picking companies, you have to decide, no matter what happens, up, down, sideways, flat, geopolitical, none of that matters. If you pick a good company, Jordan, and that's why like we'll go Jordan and LeBron. Man, tight condition, 2-3, boxing 1, zone, Jordan getting a title. Some of you, I know, Kyrie told me not to pick on him no more, but Tony Kukoc ain't getting you a title. Peloton is Tony Kukoc. Had a good season or two. Not Michael, though. It is what it is, Tony. I love you dearly. You're way better hooping than I, so I don't even have the right to speak of you in such an ill fashion. Right?
Can they beat Judd Bushler?
Hope is not an investment. I want to go to this next question, but let me just say this: hope is not an investment strategy.
No.
And if you ever watched the movie Heat, one of the key takeaways that Al Pacino had told Robert De Niro, or maybe vice versa, is that you have to be prepared to leave anything in 60 seconds. And too many people are emotionally attached to investments. We're not in investments because we love the companies. We're not founders of any of these companies. You should have no emotional attachments to investments. So even when you saw at the end of the year last year, when a record amount of CEOs were selling their stocks, sometimes you have to just read the tea leaves.
Yeah, signals.
Yeah, it's time to go.
Yeah.
I told you a lot.
You're not an armor CEO just left.
Time to go.
Yeah.
I sold a lot of.
Can you say it again about not falling in love? Like even for those crypto options, you never like you guys don't own enough. Like you never hear me be like, "Yo, don't y'all say nothing about the futures market." I don't own enough of it for me to go to war for it like that. And I'll tell every financial content creator, "Hey, don't attack an asset class. Learn from me." But even with that, you don't own enough shares to even get upset over it. They don't care about you as much as some of y'all may love ARK or a Palantir. Even for those of you that are shareholders, they never even contact you.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's like crypto too. A lot of people are emotionally attached to these cryptocurrency coins.
To the moon.
These are investments are made
no,
to make
some
money.
of y'all went to Miami and went to the conference. They wouldn't even talk to y'all.
Yeah, they wouldn't. They really wouldn't. Let me ask you this question. What are the biggest takeaways? What are the biggest takeaways or rules you see from people who do the best in the market?
If I can give 3 simple ones, they don't care what anyone else thinks. When I see even those in crypto, like even the people that are really good, they never have any. Even with Doge last year, like shout out to my guy. I was like, man, Doge's terrible. He sent me a screenshot. He was up $2 million. But yeah, this shit is terrible. And just put a bunch of smiling emojis. I should clean up. I'm like, oh, okay. Great entry. Right? Those who are good, they don't care what anyone. Everyone told me, hey, two tech, 2 index is too simple. It won't work. I'm like, or you could have read it on YouTube. I'm like, if you go look at any publishings before 2019, no one even came up with that philosophy. It wasn't there, especially to be hyper concentrated inside of 4. It was almost too risky for anybody with a bunch of capital. Number 2, hit on it early. They invest heavy. Like the people that I know that do the best in the market, they're taking 30 to 50% of the money out of their personal life and businesses and putting them into those assets. And number 3, no way around it, man. They look at this shit 15, 16, 12 hours a day. I am baffled, befuddled, taken aback, getting in my Stephen A. bag, of how many people who want exceptional results or want to be a millionaire putting in $7 hour work ethic behind what they are invested in. Like whatever company you like, go on their website and look at every page. I go look at every job listing to Apple. Everyone. I pray sometime while this show is going on, Tim Cook steps down so y'all can see me live on here. Be like, I'm selling all my apples over with. Can't be agnostic, but you have to know everything about that company. For those of you who have kids, if you have more than 4 kids, it's damn near impossible to spend equal amounts of time with your kids. If you have 15 stocks, how can you know all competitive threats? If you're just doing a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, just take opportunities and threats alone. Most companies have 15. Multiply that times 15 companies. How do you retain all that data? It's impossible to do so. But yeah, the biggest lesson that I see from everyone that does really well, I don't care what anybody thinks. because most people are wrong when it comes to investing.
Put the blinders on.
Yes.
Yeah, real quick. We passed the 9. That was fast. We passed the 9 o'clock hour. I'm just gonna give the earnings report really quickly.
Jeez.
And yeah, we spoke about some of the earnings reports last week, and we saw what happened with Walmart. We saw what happened with Target. And so this week, we got some more. Best Buy will be reporting tomorrow morning. And so we talked about the signals, right? Looking at signals and what are the things you should be seeing. And so this happened like 2 weeks ago. Maybe people didn't really realize it or even read into it, but they announced that they're going to be selling beauty gadgets and patio furniture. This is Best Buy we're talking. No, Best Buy.
Oh, Best Buy?
Yeah. And so to me, I hear that.
Wow.
I hear, okay, same reaction I had was like, wow, patio furniture? Okay. Beauty gadgets, maybe. But patio furniture was like, okay. To me, that says that we need more revenue, right? We got to figure out how we're going to make more revenue. That was my first signal. Second signal, I looked at Target and I said, all right, Target, why did they miss so bad? Like they knew that they were sitting on a bad quarter, didn't make any news about it. And then we saw what happened. It dropped 20%. One of the things, and this is a key business structure for Best Buy, is that they saw the demand in large electronics slow down tremendously, right?
Yeah.
We already know that the supply chain issues are affecting everything in electronics. And so Best Buy tomorrow will be reporting. I'll be interested to see how that's going to look. So that's one. We got NVIDIA on Wednesday, Snowflake as well, Costco, and again, one of these, retail stores with discounted prices on large scale items. Zscaler, one of my top 3 cybersecurity companies. And we got Dollar General and Dollar Tree. And so we talked about in times of recession and economic pullback, we'll see some of these stores get elevated sales. I know, I believe Dollar General, maybe it was Dollar General, was trying to add produce into their one of the products that they're going to be selling in certain areas. And so they'll be reporting on Thursday. And then Alibaba will be reporting on Thursday as well. And it was like 3 weeks ago, I think Ian and I, we went back and forth on our thoughts on Alibaba and long term, what we can see it for the future. They'll be reporting, be interested and have my eyes open to watching that. So those are the earnings reports for this week.
Yes.
I mean, the reason why Amazon and Target are down, like consumers or people have less money to spend. Mm-hmm. Anytime that, I'm looking at Target's chart now. Just to be real, there's no such thing as a free lunch or free giveaway. And I always tell you guys, even when I do the Cash App stuff and you see me, I'm doing it to build goodwill and trust because I'm just doing what I wished would have been done to me. But when the Fed prints all this money and then they do stimulus, they're telling you, man, things are going to be bad. We did our part. And a lot of it has to do with the political cycles as well, because no one wants to be a senator or president in office when the economy is bad. So Amazon, I think Costco will be okay. Target will be okay. Walmart will be okay. The patio furniture move, though, by Best Buy. Best Buy should have been dead in 2020. They did a hell of a job. And that patio market is one with good margins. Very interesting. And if they play that beauty market right and they start doing a bunch of tutorials on their site and get a bunch of influencers, that can work very well too.
But that's what I was saying. Like, even for in the 2020, obviously everybody's home, number one, right? During the pandemic, electronics, everybody was, kids needed computers because it was at home schooling, people staying home from work. Obviously, they needed at home electronics. And so slightly, obviously we saw an uptick. I'd be interested now that obviously we open back up. They're trying new revenue models. I'll be interested to see what tomorrow looks like. Not saying that I don't like Best Buy long term, but I'll be interested to see what it looks like tomorrow.
Let's do this. Since we have over 9,000 people on the check-in.
It's giveaway time almost.
Well, yeah. Let's play a game if we can. Of
new segment.
New segment. We're headed. Let's say that we're headed towards a bear market and we're headed towards a recession. Let's just say, for the sake of this game, we're headed towards a bear market. We're headed towards a recession. Let's say it lasts 6 months, 8 months or so. And we'll come back out of it sometime top of the year. Ian's gone.
Ian said, I ain't doing this with y'all.
So let's go through which stocks would be considered a good buy in a down market, and this is just generally speaking, like in a down market, let's say all the stocks is down past at least 20% of their 52-week high. Which stocks would be good in a down market, and which stocks would be bad in a down market? Our preference is by highlighting some ETFs and some index funds, which would be a safer investment. But we'll talk about stocks because that's what people want to talk about. So first, index funds that Ian talks about a lot is the VTI. So that's the total stock market index. So that's an extremely broad range index. We have SPY, which is the S&P 500 index. We've talked about that before. We have QQQ, which is Invesco's technology index, ETF, which all the major technology companies are in that. And we have XLY, which is a consumer discretionary ETF. We have XOK, which is a technology ETF. We also have SMH, which is a chip ETF. Yeah, so we got that out the way. So those are safe, investments long term.
I won't touch triple Q until 250 though. I just want to say that. Might clip that up.
250.
Yeah.
Google. Is Google a good investment to buy in a down market for a long-term appreciation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Google virtually has no competition. I like to buy businesses that are monopolies.
That's one of them.
Okay.
Tell me, and I'll let you go. So what we're doing, why, right? Tell me, everyone in chat, YouTube and Zoom, who is the biggest competitor to Google and who does a better job than they do? And they have a bunch of misfires. The phone, you probably could eradicate.
Gaming system.
But like if you look at search alone and YouTube alone.
Oh. And
like, I'm gonna be real. Google is a bigger advertising juggernaut than the entire advertising agency industry. Name me 5 agencies of record for any company. Can't do it. They figured out how to, do you guys know how rare it is to master B2C, business to consumer, and B2B and be equally dominant? Like Apple is loved by consumers, not really by enterprise. They have some enterprise impact, right? Same with Stryker. Stryker has a great impact on the B2B space and hospitals, but nobody in their home is going to Restoration Hardware being like, let me get a Stryker bed. They've combined 2 empires into one. Great business. Price is just too high.
I would just say Google just they have room for expansion, especially in the world we live in the audio space. They haven't really, they're coming. They're not here, they're coming though, right? If you think about even Market Mondays, the entity of Market Mondays, a lot of people watch it, but people listen to it too. So now imagine when they combine the two, where you could actually do both on the same platform. You know what I mean? So shout out to everybody who listens on every platform, but think about that. We're talking about, if you look at the projections for the podcast space, you're talking about,
they're watching it right now on YouTube.
I know. I'm saying.
Oh man! And with that, y'all think y'all mad at 300 and Lior? Google is going to be the biggest in 3 years, the biggest podcast and biggest music label on earth. I'm gonna be real. A lot of shit would shake at Atlantic if they had to pay $15 million a year per artist to put it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Cartel. You see what Youngboy going through? Youngboy turned down 25 million.
That was the first person I'm thinking of, right?
NBA Youngboy.
If you look at what he's done on YouTube,
what did he turned down $25 million?
I'm talking about the money that he should have made.
Yeah. He never got. Yeah.
From all the views, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well,
year after year, he's the number 1 watch artist.
Yeah. Shout out to NBA Youngboy.
While being blackballed.
Right.
The boy would be doing Bad Bunny numbers if him and didn't have beef. Crazy. Rogan, and people don't talk them JRE clips. That YouTube page for years helped catapult Rogan. People wasn't listening to that podcast long form like how they were watching the clips. Everybody got hooked on the clips, and then he expanded. So yeah, Google's amazing.
Yeah, I would say this too. I'll just add to this, and this is something you can do on your own time, and how to figure out how to find a company. Go to that balance sheet. How do you do that? Right? Go to Yahoo Finance. Type in any company that you're thinking of. Type in Google. Right? Go to statistics, and just scroll down, and it'll show you the balance sheets, the financial highlights, how much income are they in debt. These are things that you want to look at. right? Do they have revenue over each quarter? Is it positive? What are the projections going forward? Do they have dividends and splits? These are the type of things you want to look into.
So let's go to another company. Let's get a few more of these in. Another one that
I'll get my sleeper at the end.
Is down 70%. And a lot of people have questions about Square, better known as Block, a highly talked about company, and people are on different sides of the fence about this. Is Square is down almost, like, I think they're down more than 70%. Yep. Is this a company that has the potential to rebound?
Yep, only because of Elon. I'm gonna be very clear. The only linchpin for them is either acquisition or deep partnership with. Do I think they're a viable company? Yes. Do I still think they be the new JP Morgan? I know everybody at JP Morgan hates when I say that. But the linchpin is interesting. Elon is positioning himself for this era to actually be James Pierpont Morgan. So if you look at the history, now, of course, he'll never bail out America, but everything else he is doing in terms of business, politics, finance, he is the main player. When him and Jack announced his partnership after the coast is clear, and there's some rumblings on what the press, the clippings they put out is not the real project. When that project comes out, there's going to be one provider, or one or two providers, and Square will be one of them, that also has government backing that is safe. Same with Apple, like how the game is played. Once you go through certain angels, certain venture capitalists, I'll ask you guys this. You put it in chat. Who did Jack get funded by in Square? And what is their track record? If they put that amount of capital into a business, how well does it do? So the chain, so same thing like I said before, like if I played at Duke and I scored 28, 10, and 10, I'm probably going to be a top 5 draft pick, right? If I score 28, 10, and 10 at Morehouse, I may go second round. Same person. So who they get funding from Angel, VC, secondary rounds matters a lot. And then with that attachment to Elon, I know Elon's repositioning what he's going to do on Twitter, but Jack is going to be able to get his revenge on Twitter through Elon. Elon is going to be able to get a lot of revenge through Jack via Square. That's why all the pumping of Dogecoin and crypto was big last year. Those were tests. So if he owns or co-owns or partners with the platform, now a lot of the heat will be off of him. That's the only reason I believe in Square, is because of the partnership. But if Jack wasn't there, I'd be like, no, I took an L on this one. Be dead in the water. But the partnership is what's going to save it.
What's your thoughts on the Twitter situation and Elon, right? He did this in turmoil, the deal's not done. He wants to know if the bots are suspicious.
I can answer for him without any deep investigation. Yeah, it's more than 5% bots. Same with Facebook, same with Instagram, same with TikTok. Twitter probably has the highest concentration of bots. I'm going to go on record and say I think it's more than 21%.
Ooh.
I don't think Twitter's worth 44
bots
billion.
is legendary. Instagram bots is legendary.
And the YouTube ones are getting good too, but also when you
YouTube is dangerous. YouTube is dangerous.
That's solicitation.
That's very dangerous.
They'll write a comment. I'm like, damn, this is like a really poignant thought. And then it gets to the bottom, it's like, well, follow,
comment,
X.
take your picture,
pin. Like YouTube is extremely dangerous. They put your icon, your name.
That's not us, y'all. Please.
Now, if we can go to some untalked about recession indicators, and shout out to Lil Duval, we all saw like the strippers being one indicator. The number of scam and fraud schemes that increase also tells you how bad the economy is, because people are hurting. People are more susceptible during a down market to get scammed because they need money. When the economy was good, 2010, 2015, people wouldn't fall for the schemes as much. But since people are hurting, they'll go for them. And that's why those farms and those bots, a lot of them based in Russia, have been proliferating these apps to be able to extract money. And also that's why like the crypto hacks and all that stuff, like that's happening. So please keep your eye out on that, because as the economy gets worse, there's going to be way, way, way more attacks and way more scams out there.
Let's do one more before we go to questions, but I'm going to let you two pick this. I see AMD and I see Amazon. So YouTube, which one do you want us to talk about? AMD or Amazon?
And I'm gonna tell you the ones you guys are sleeping on for, especially during a recession. Eli Lilly,
Eli Lilly.
Tim Duncan, not the sexiest, but consistent. Go look at Eli Lilly, and I couldn't talk about it before because me being from Indiana, I had so many friends. I couldn't talk about it in 2020. It was too much information that I had. I don't want to get us in trouble. But since this is not like a viral or health-based recession now, which 2020 was really like a macro dead cat bounce. It was a test. I'll tell you, Eli Lilly is like one of the most amazing companies that's ever been run. That's never talked about. Never talked about. If you go look at Lilly's chart, that chart looks like what you want your bank account to look like. Like if I look right now, out of all the companies, it's one of the few that has not had a pullback and has accelerated. So Lilly is at 302. 2018 it was at $80. In 2020 it was at 100. 3x from 2020 for a pharma company. Boring ass pharma company. Shout out to everybody in Indianapolis. But if you ever worked at Lilly, and IU, Indiana University, where I went as a big farm system for Lilly, man, remarkable management, remarkable products, great relationship with FDA, great relationship with government. Monopoly. And if you go out further, 10 years, 20 years, you can see they've been on a steady uptick, steady doing better every year.
There you have it. Eli, it looks like AMD is the winner.
Yeah,
Close. It was close.
Yeah.
So AMD, how you feel about it? Are you invested in AMD, right?
I'm investing in both.
That's a disclosure. You gotta announce that before you can speak on it.
Yeah. I mean, AMD I love. Again, I just go down the client list, and we talk about semiconductors. Obviously, we speak on all the time, but the companies that you're naming are all part of their client customers base. Google's cloud, Amazon, Microsoft. So you got to think. Even Samsung is now thinking about using them as a client. And so long term, like again, if we're in this long term, I said AMD is one of the companies I'm getting 1,000 shares in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at about 700 now. But yeah, I love it long term. It's one of those companies that isn't going to go anywhere. That and NVIDIA are going to be the two leaders in that space.
Yeah. AMD is one of my favorites. For those of you who like legacy Red Panda members, you're in somewhere between like 10 and $21. Also, though, on a crypto side, if there's ever a big hack, and not saying that, be clear, might clip this up, I don't think that this will happen, or it's probable that Bitcoin can be hacked. But if there is a major hack of a crypto platform or a cryptocurrency, AMD chips are going to be the one that powers it. And if we see one big breach, there's going to be a sweeping attack across the world. And their processors are probably the only ones at scale that will allow people to do it. And there's people who are trying to crack it now.
And even in the metaverse space, like, right? And they're the ones that are partnered with Facebook, or formerly known as Facebook or Meta, to be the processor that's going to be powering the metaverse. And so if we're thinking 5 to 10 years out, if that's where we're headed, you want to be with the company that's going to be with the company that's providing the power for it.
And before we go to questions, the reason why I like ETFs and index funds is because a lot of times with companies, it's not necessarily if it's a good company, if the stock is going to keep rising. It's not even a situation if the company is dominant in the industry, if the stock is going to keep rising. It's if scalability looks likely.
True.
And the bigger you get, the harder it is to scale. Like Facebook, they might still be the most dominant social media platform. They might be in the top 10. It's not easy to have a top 10 company in the world. Scalability might be an issue.
But they got two companies inside of it that are leaders, right? WhatsApp and Instagram are inside of it.
Yeah, but scalability.
But the other side, but the other side of that coin is if every hedge fund, well, not every, majority of hedge funds don't like Zuckerberg. And I'm not going to go too deep, but they don't like him. And now the government is blocking every acquisition. You can't grow anymore. And then you stole the idea from the Winklevoss twins, and now the Winklevoss twins went to crypto and destroyed. And that's why he couldn't get his cryptocurrency for Facebook off. That's why I tell you guys, like, competition, and I put in a video and we'll play it next week, but competition is a mission for fools. Like, you should partner with people to take over an industry, or if you choose to compete, you're literally saying, I'm not good enough to be number one. So once he took on a Winklevoss twins and they built that platform and he stole it, they're the one who pushed crypto to the funds, and he had every fund on earth start to attack him. So them same hedge fund managers, when he was putting his proverbial tech dick on the table, when he was about to go public, Facebook is the only big company of its size that had issues at the open of their stock. You think that was by accident? Stock market has been running since 1600. You think that a glitch on their day by accident? That was intentional. Now, Winklevoss twins build great relationship. Now I'll send me and my 80 friends at you to destroy your company and short your company. And we know, since you stole that technology, you haven't built anything else. Man, let's run it into the ground. Now my government friends, if I'm in the Winklevoss twins, are also going to block every deal that you want to do, every acquisition, and you're going to die a slow death. Scalability, not likely.
Scalability does not look like
I know early AMD was one of yours, and you weren't in the investment anymore. Like one of those companies that you like
sold it.
I know that, but I'm saying now that it's got to a price point, is it you still interested or
have to revisit the situation?
Well, Facebook?
No, AMD.
AMD.
Yeah, we both were in the
AMD.
position early on.
Just
yeah.
Waiting to deploy a little bit of capital. I think the market as a whole it still has room to pull back. Probably make some moves in the summertime. I sold. I had a nice position in the AMD option
early.
Sold it twice. You can never lose by taking profit. You learn that in the basics.
Rashad, how many trades you take this year?
Not a lot. Not a lot. I'm not sure the exact number, but probably under 12, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fewer trades, more wins. And I know it feels like, because if you're listening, you're like, yo, they just hating because they don't want us to get the bag. If you get a relationship with a broker, they'll tell you there is a throttle point for futures, derivatives, options, Forex, penny stocks. If you trade over a certain, so like if you trade rainwater in Dakota, or like I was going to show in a video, like you can trade the consumer price index for all urban areas in the United States of America. It's only a certain amount of times you can trade that before you start to lose, though. Write this down. For every product that you trade, talk to somebody inside of an institution to know how many trades you need to take before you get to a place where you're going to start to bleed in your account.
Yeah.
Brokers going to make money regardless. Shout out to Vlad at Robinhood. Boy, he got a big, he got what, 834 million? How much? 500 million? Some crazy number for last year because of the order flow and the number of trades that were taken. The brokers are going to get paid regardless, but it is your job to just listen and execute. And I'm going to be real. If I call out these prices, please put yes in chat if I made you money. Why is investing so hard? And I'm not hitting you all over the head and saying, hey, give me 50%. I should. Now, I can make $40 million a year on the back end just taking profit off of y'all. I don't. When I walk into Goldman and Citadel, though, and I bring y'all with me, run it up. Execute. You don't have to be the smartest person. And I'm going to be real. Often the smartest person who knows the most makes the least amount of money. Some of you know everything. That's why you were like, hey, maybe we can do quizzes and portfolio review and all that. Man, that's not the activity of a person who actually makes money. Not at all. Once again, indicators, I'm gonna go to it again. Hey, when you talk to Ross and Diddy, they ever brought up to you, hey man, I made $42 million this year looking at indicators? Not one time.
No.
That's sold to retail investors.
Another thing is it's hard to focus on multiple things at one time. I was talking to somebody today, a few days ago, a friend of mine in the VC space, and talking about like, VCs and what they look for and things of that nature. And it was like, whenever an entrepreneur, a lot of times, like they got a lot of different stuff going on, but he was like, when you put together a pitch deck for VCs, focus on like two areas that you really, really focus on. Because he was like, you might think that by having 10 things that you have in your pitch deck that you're diversified, but that's just showing them that you can't focus on one thing.
Makes you look unstable.
Yeah, it's just like dating. It's extremely hard to have like 10 different. If you're trying to holler at 10 different.
Well, I did it. It wasn't fun. I'm gonna be real with you. Disaster.
And, yeah, you can't. It's almost, it's difficult even for the best sniper.
Stay focused.
You got
no, for real. Look how agitated I am, and look how happy Troy and Rashad is.
One or two, no more than three.
Stay focused.
One or two, or no more than three.
Even the third would be a liability.
No, yeah, I'm just saying, as far as you always hear one's too close to none. So it's like, if you are gonna play that game, just 10 too much. You're doing too much. You're doing too much.
I mean, but even with that, get one if they mess up, do what a index fund would do and rotate that one out. Exfoliate.
Backup. It's backup plan.
Kind of like ARK. Tesla used to be the number one position. Roku has passed it.
Yeah.
So is Zoom.
Yeah.
Now
it's even with that Roku garbage, I know that's the number one position. Roku terrible. No.
Yeah.
For a long-term investment. Good trade. Also, I have to remind you too, Kathy and most hedge funds are trading quarter to quarter. You're not going to find out at the right time when to get in their position. That is not their job. They don't even call their clients and tell their clients that. That's too hard to talk. But yeah, for fellas, focus on one, maximum two. Stay popping, stay on top of your job. Today, I know you're going to cuss me out, but it's just entertainment, right? Corey and Joe and Chad, everybody told me, be more charismatic.
It's entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies,
what you mean?
No, this is the EYL Cares campaign.
It's only entertainment. This is for entertainment purposes
only. Rashad and
what
Ian's
you mean
thoughts.
by you got on your little pink? You feeling yourself because your slides ain't work? Ooh, boy, this
the thoughts shared by Ian and Rashad are solely theirs.
Entertainment.
Y'all seen me rotate mine, though, boy. You think Kathy will rotate them out? Hey, this ain't working. Next, go ahead. Go ahead.
On to my next girl because I'm done with my next girl.
With that being said, let's go to questions if we can.
Yep.
Maybe get one or two questions before we wrap.
Hey, Jen.
Yes, perfect segue.
Yes.
How are you?
How are you doing, Janet?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Great. How are you?
Can't complain. I'm doing well. The earners and I are reading Trading in the Zone. And I think the market right now, this perfect book for what's going on. Talks a lot about your mental attitude and how analysis alone is not good enough. You really have to have a strong mental attitude and discipline. And great traders have a good attitude. So I think this has been really helpful for the earners going through it now. And I'll say too, I just got my first travel nurse under contract, the deposits and the leases signed. So I'm excited for that experience. And they're going to be here for the whole summer. So that's pretty cool.
And that's your Airbnb property? That's your Airbnb?
So now I have two Airbnbs. But one of them I have a travel nurse in there the whole summer, and the other one I'm still Airbnb. But if I can get another travel nurse in there, I'll go with it. It's a little less than I would make on Airbnb every month. However, I just don't have to worry about it for a few months. In theory, I'm going to see what it's going to be like. But
are you scared? Are you a little nervous about Airbnbs getting cracked down? I think Boston actually had a crackdown, which is not too far from you, but there's a lot of talk. Are you nervous about the state of Airbnb right now? Being an Airbnb participant?
Not really, because I know I can have a travel nurse in here, and the person I just got in, he actually didn't want to pay as much as my rate is, but there's, I guess, a lack of enough travel nurse spots for them. So he's paying $500 more a month than he wanted to, but it is what it is. But also somewhere. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not really that concerned about it. I mean, I can always rent out the units anyway. So I'll ride this till, I know for Rhode Island, we have to declare, I guess, or that's not the right word, but basically you have to let the state know by June 1st that you have an Airbnb. You have to register it. And I already went online a week ago or 2 weeks ago. It was not very intuitive. So I have to maybe call or figure it out because I need to register it by June 1st. That's the new law here in Rhode Island. But
quick note really quickly. Speaking of Airbnb, they're removing all their listings from China. starting
Airbnb.
this summer. Yeah,
I
they
saw
will be
that
out.
too.
Yeah, they will be out of China.
Why are they leaving China?
Well played.
I will send the article.
Okay.
I saw the headline. Yeah, they'll be leaving.
We better
And
hope that
McDonald's.
the Chinese real estate bubble does not crack. You guys should go look at the number of ghost cities in China.
60 Minutes did an expose about that a while ago. And that was crazy.
China real estate?
They built whole cities where nobody lives in them.
Mm,
It's crazy.
Yep.
yeah,
Crazy.
and then McDonald's left Russia.
Well,
82 stores.
there's
Well,
a big
I'm
difference between
I'm
Russia
saying-
and China.
I'm saying companies leaving, American companies leaving some of these countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Can we get some questions,
All
Janet?
right, let's do that. Chandra, we're coming to you. Unmute yourself, please.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Great. How are
Hey,
you?
how you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for taking my question. So here's the deal. So I recently moved and I had to dip into my emergency fund. And so I have about 4 months of savings left, but it took me so long to grow it. I live in New York. So the brokerage, the 3 months rent security took a nice chunk out.
Mhm.
And it took me so long to get there. I want to know, should I be reing up that money, or should I try to invest to make it grow faster? Because I want to be smart. I don't have shiny ball syndrome. I keep my head down. I know what I want to do. I miss out on some things like Invest Fast because I'm like, nope, I got to stay focused. I got to stack my coins. But now I have to re-up. So what advice would you give me? Because I don't want to miss this opportunity for growth. But I also have to have an emergency fund too.
Well, we could definitely give you a ticket to InvestFest if you're interested in.
And that's my birthday week too. I'm August 2nd, Ian.
Hey, let's go.
Shout out to all the
That's
Leos.
amazing.
So yeah, so if you're interested in coming to InvestFest, Janet, let's hook that up. If you might have plans already, but if you are interested, we can make that happen for sure.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
But good question. So she's saying it took a long time for her just to build her safety net. We always talk about having a safety net and not investing your last dollar. But it is one of these things where it's like, what do you do if you actually want to invest money and you have a nice size chunk of change, but that chunk of change is more on the security side and you don't have anything outside of that. So what's some suggestions, or what do you guys just think about that? I have my 2 cents in as well, but
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've heard you answer this question a lot. It's like, yo, I got money in my 401k. Should I take it out to invest in the stock market? Why don't you just go for it?
Really quickly, I would never do that. I'm just talking about my emergency fund.
Her savings
Her
account.
actual savings.
She has money on a savings account, like her emergency fund. 6 months, I believe she said 6 months.
No, I only have 4 months left after taking the cut out for moving with the broker's fees and everything. I live in Queens, New York. It's expensive.
Are you working?
Yes.
Okay. What stocks are you invested in?
I have Apple, Microsoft. I have NVIDIA. I have the Fidelity ETF, total stock ETF. And then I have some trash that I didn't know what I was doing, and it's just there.
We've all had some trash that we got to get rid of. Are you in Red Panda by chance?
I am not, sir.
Janet, can you grab her email and I'll put her in, and also
Sure.
give me your cash app.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Triple header. I'll say this, and this is something that sometimes it's just no easy answer to it. I would say the only way to actually have more money at the end of the month, which leads to having more disposable income, which leads to having more capital to invest, which leads to, solving these type of issues. There's only 3 things that you can actually do. You can cut back on expenses, but that could become a little difficult, especially living in New York. You can find a way that you can make more money, or you can do a combination of both, which is actually the best scenario. So that's why we talk about different, whether it's, you can always have, different job things in nature, but entrepreneurship, we talk about, if not in New York, but like Toro, Airbnb, starting a business, entrepreneurship. Obviously, nothing is ever guaranteed, but I wouldn't feel comfortable telling you, if you only have 4 months, I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable telling you to take money out of that to invest. And even if you did, it probably wouldn't make a tremendous difference. I would say that it is a marathon. as Nip says, so it's not something that you feel like you have to miss out. There's going to be bear markets. There's going to be dips. There's going to be opportunities. It's not like this is going to be the only bear market, the only dip in the market. And consistently dollar cost averaging, you'll probably even make out better anyway. So I would say at the very least to try to find a way where maybe you can start dollar cost averaging. If you're not, maybe, you know, a couple hundred, whatever you can afford. And then really, really focus on growing revenue.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of times people focus on investing without having money to actually invest, where it's going to be a lot easier if you focus on going back to the focus out. Like we made a joke about that, but it is important to focus on one thing at a time. Focus on growing revenue, and whether that's another job, whether that's another, you know, career services that you can add and getting certifications, things of that nature, whether that's starting a business, whether that's a side hustle, focus on growing revenue, focus on keeping your expenses low and keeping your debt low. And then once you kind of have that figured out, as far as the revenue, once you've grown your revenue, then you can invest. And I think that's kind of been our blueprint with Earn Your Leisure, where it's like on Monday, we only talking about investing. But then on Tuesday, when the episodes come out, that's broad range, a variety of shows, a variety type of show, talking about, you know, different businesses and entrepreneurship, because it's done intentionally where it's like they got to go hand in hand.
Rashad,
they
can I just say something really quick, please? So I was in Ash Cash's mastermind group, and you guys came and talked about podcasting and things like that. So, you know, I got burnt out trying to, like, I had a Shopify store, I had a wine podcast, I had side hustles. Like, I was doing all the things. I kept my head down. I wasn't trying to buy Versace. I stay in my lane, like, but I just need assistance.
Yeah, I mean, can I be honest with you though?
Yeah.
Can I be honest with everyone here? That's the cost of freedom.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, so a lot of times when it seems like I may be moody, agitated, I'm tired. So that's why I posted my schedule today. I slept 3 hours, woke up at 4, worked on a show for the presentation to not play. Gotta adjust. Took Xander to school. Takes me 2 hours round trip to get home to Xander. Look at the market, come back, study, prepare. I'm sending them show notes 30 minutes before we go on. So your wine podcast, I'm going to tell you something I've never told anybody else publicly. Most podcasts needs to be shorter. Everybody copy long form because of Rogan or because they need advertising. If you can
Mine
sell
is under
product,
15 minutes.
So do that, record in bulk and have your Shopify business and invest. Because if not, and everyone here needs a business, because if not, you are susceptible to what another business chooses to do in your life. But that is the cost of freedom. Every time I see, you've heard guys heard me say it on the show, I don't know how you do it. You're tired. Flying to a city, come home, and now I'm starting to do it. And that's why I tell Dream Team, I'm like, well, I got to go raise the capital, build the relationships, be great at content, while being nice on camera, being kind to haters, still be a great dad, good person, try and be cute for Bay, get in shape, work on InvestFest, and trade.
Got it.
My dad tell me all the time, this is a penalty. Or you can have it easy and not have the money that you want. And I've been there. But the stress that comes with not having the money that you want is not worth it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
It's not easy. It's not, I'll say that it's not easy. So when we talk about 08, like I really felt that way. Like I felt like I missed something. But that was like the edge that I needed to say, like, I don't want to miss this opportunity again. I don't want to miss this opportunity again. And so 2015, 2016, as you earn more income, and like I said, I was teaching Shy as a financial advisor.
Yeah.
It was like, we got to put we can invest what we can until you realize, all right, if I can do more, then I should. And so, like, even I had this conversation last night with Mike, shout out to Mike. Like, we were working and grinding and we weren't making any money from doing this. We were just staying focused on adding value, right? And the money that came from it was like, we sat down with each other like, all right, we're going to invest. We got to invest. This is the time. Here's the moment that we've been saying. Shout out to Jamal. He was part of that conversation too. This is our moment. Let's take advantage of our moment. And so the moments will come. It won't be like, hey, if I miss this time, I'll never get it again in life. It'll happen on your time. when you're ready.
It's worth it though. Make sure you get sleep.
And it'll be worth it. It will be so worth it.
It'll actually happen. It won't happen on your time. It will happen on God's time. And
Absolutely.
You have to trust the process. You have to trust the process, and you have to understand that God's time is different from our time.
Right.
So that's extremely important.
If I can give a testimony to that, I'll start working trying to give you, and I sent the cash out to you too. But to give you perspective, I'll start working on investing in 2008. We didn't start doing the show to 2020. I tried to get 8 other people to do the show. They told me it was a stupid idea to target Black people around investing. They were Black. No one wants to hear you talking that vernacular.
I used to work in Morgan Stanley. I know those.
So
types.
you know, like, so think about all that time. That's why I say if you're able to invest and trade, you don't need the capital. So master that craft while doing other things. Then the show went well. Rashad put out the post. Hey, podcast, first one up. I'm astonished at the number of you who come on here and don't say, hey, I got this. Troy, Rashad, Ian partner with me on it. You guys heard me ask Janet, Airbnb, hey, you need to okay, for entrepreneurs, how are you not asking 2,000 people a month minimum to do business with you? The revenue problem comes from an outreach problem. Most people are not outreaching enough. And then you see them Ross and Diddy, and then people are like, man, they Hollywood as hell at that big ass estate with Ross. How could they? They asked. You don't see the work behind the scene. Like, you have to, you guys are seeing me now. I'm doing my little dog and pony show, LA, Dallas, right? Philly, Vegas. Gotta shake hands, kiss babies. You have to ask. You have to ask. Going out, I don't want to party. I came to the party. Who was that? In a Nike tracksuit. Everybody up, Balenciaga, Versace. I got on a Nike tracksuit. Gotta come out. Time in. Kyrie called me. Hey, come to the crib. I didn't care what I had on. I asked, hey, what can I do to help you? Time.
That's it.
Shout out to you, Sandra, for having 4 months saved up, because the average American doesn't even have $1,000.
At one point, I had like 20K, and then it dipped, and I had to move, and I was like,
But thank God you at the 20, because imagine what life would be like if you didn't.
Exactly. Great. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chandra.
And just drop your Cash App in the chat, please.
Yeah, I did, honey.
Oh, you did? I'll scroll up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shout out, Chandra.
And please drop the correct one so we don't send it to somebody in Idaho.
Janet, one more question before we
okay
exit stage left.
We ain't seen them since.
She came up that night.
Both of them.
Yep.
Jahad, unmute yourself, please.
Jahad Little, what's going on?
Well,
Bridge break.
Oh, I'm sure he was ready. Oh,
there you have it. There you have it.
Oh well.
Or Rashad said, there you have music set. Well, we got Drake. Okay, Hughes, and what else?
Do you want to pick someone random, or we're done?
It's up to Ian.
Well, we can do one more. If you're in Red Panda, please put your Cash App and Telegram. I want to pick 2 people at random and give to you, please. Thank you guys for being. Once again, invest in the top 5 companies. Invest in companies that have a monopoly. Stop looking to gamble. And if we tell you the picks to invest in and you keep all the money, you are the genius. Don't make this so complicated. And I know there's a lot of noise. Look at all long-term horizons, right? 20-year. If you hold for a 20-year period, there's no stock over a 20-year period if it's top 5 that you will not make money on. And I know, and I did it too. And when I started trading, I'm like, forget the long-term investing. I'm gonna just trade and I'm gonna 10x that money. Then I'm gonna go back and invest. Guess what? The lumps and bruises that you are gonna take along the way, not worth it. Invest first, then trade. But for those of you who have been able to make 60,000 using that target from InvestFest, man, I appreciate you.
Andrea, please email me. I can't see it in the chat. And earners decided to drop their own Cash App, so now I'm confused. Did you want to take another question, Ian? I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's take one more.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of Cash Apps. Like, what happened?
Mark, unmute yourself, please.
Oh man,
you doing on the 2?
Yeah.
Hello.
What's poppin', King? How you doing?
What's up, family? How y'all doing?
Good. How you feeling?
Mark Will made it.
Finally made it, man. I wanted to ask Ian about this split coming up with Amazon. So I wanted to grab 5 of them just so I could try to write the contracts because you own 100 shares, you can write the contracts.
Yeah.
But during the split, I'm saying, do you know if the premium will still be the same after the split?
I'm not an option expert. Long-term investing in the futures is my specialty. If you want to lean on Troy shot, I can give you a price to get in, but as far as that, that's not my area of expertise.
Yeah, I definitely take that price too.
Amazon at current price. Stock Club members, I won't breach anything. If it gets back to $2,094.88, that would be the place that I fire for long term. And I would take some profit at 3,000 and let the rest run. It'll go back to 4,000 probably in 2 years. I'll adjust it after the split happens, but as of right now, that's the price where I would get in.
It's very close to that right now. I mean,
we're not far. June 3rd. So
$20 away.
Mark,
it's down. Wait, it's down. It's actually down $47 in after hours. So right now it's at 2,104. So that 2,094 target is literally a couple dollars. It's like at it right now in the after hours.
Sometimes them couple dollars make the difference between profitability and blowing up account though.
Yeah, Mark, from my experience, and I saw this when I had Apple and they split, everything kind of gets split. So the amount of, like, if I had one contract and it was a split that was 1-4, and now I have 4 contracts and everything gets split down the line. The price of the new contracts, obviously the price of the asset itself on the premium. So be mindful of that.
Be mindful. But yeah, a company like
June 3rd.
A company like Amazon's down a lot. It was at $3,700. It's at almost 2,000.
Yeah.
All right. Well, another glorious market Mondays in the books. Shout out to everybody that came. We had to run an audible today. It worked out.
Tim Tebow.
This is what happens on a live show, right?
Yeah, you gotta always be prepared. Anything can happen.
You never know.
So shout out to everybody that tuned in today. Hopefully you got a lot of information. Great presentation. And
Before we go, man, I gotta give a quick shout out again to the Red Panda family. Shout out to our earners. As you know, we teamed up with Ally to help empower the next generation of creators, entrepreneurs, and leaders with financial education. Right. So Ally is helping us give away 20 full scholarships to Earn Your Leisure University, where you can learn real world skills to help you pursue your financial goals. So if you're a creator, entrepreneur, or someone who's trying to gain financial success, you have until June 3rd. Right. We just mentioned that date, Amazon, to submit your email. So go to www.eyeluniversity.com/giveaway to submit your email. Shadi and I are going to pick and announce 5 winners each week at the end of each Market Mondays. Because everything that we do, we're all better off with an Ally. Rock with them. So shout out to our friends at Ally for making this happen. And we're going to announce our new earners, our 5 earners that were picked from last week. So Tyron Perry, Cameron Rogers, Keith Bradley, Whitney Smith, and William Long. Congratulations. You are now an official earner. Can we put some earner graduation caps in the chat for them?
Congratulations.
Yeah. We will see you on the other side. You should be expecting an email, if not tonight, first thing tomorrow morning. That's Tyron Perry, Cameron Rogers, Keith Bradley, Whitney Smith, and William Long. Congratulations. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome to the U.
Welcome.
EYLU.
Congratulations. Welcome. When is the Amazon split?
June 3rd. So we got next week, right?
Yeah, on a Friday too.
Yeah, next week.
Not this Friday, but coming Friday. What you think? I'll see you over there pondering.
Yeah, I'll look into this. I'm looking into this Amazon situation a little bit. I'm looking into this Amazon situation.
I'm there.
Tom Brady with the assist, man. Listen, I'm begging you guys, just listen. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. You guys don't I'm just giving what I wish I had in 08. It doesn't have to be that complicated. And also limit the number of news sources, even if we're not a primary one. Man, listen, because listening to 14 people is going to cause you to lose a lot more. But for those of you who have been listening, man, you've been killing. So you deserve
and earners, we have new student orientation tomorrow. So hope to see you guys there at 6.
One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning, I mentioned it mid-show. Open enrollment. We do this at the end of the month, every month. Wednesday, this open enrollment. YouTube at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We were talking about principles of shorting, how to make money in the bear market. A lot of people, that's like one of the number one questions people ask. So going over that, going over charts. Shout out to Chris, who teaches the investment classes. He's going to be joining us. So that's going to be a good class, very educational on YouTube. Jamel Hill is one of the best journalists in the game. Shout out to Assets Over Liabilities, out now. Check that out, our conversation with Jamel Hill. And tomorrow, our guy Humble, one of the top wealth managers in the game, athletes, entertainers, manages hundreds of millions of dollars. Episode, EYL episode coming out tomorrow. So jam-packed week.
Yeah, shout out to the biggest network, man. Shout out to all the shows on the network. Obviously, like, subscribe, comment on any streaming platform that you get the audio from, Apple, whatever you use, Spotify, iHeart, whatever you do, go listen. Market Mondays will be out tonight. Obviously, EYL's tomorrow, Rants and Jams on Wednesday, Insider Vote on Thursday, and the biggest debut on the network, high level conversation with our brother 19 Keys, who's been off to an incredible. We got stopped in the airport this morning. Like, yo, where's Keys at?
19 Keys.
Shout out to him.
I'm glad you said that. Congratulations to 19 Keys. His episode with Billy Carson is at 1.4 million views on YouTube in 2.5 weeks. That's the number one video on our platform ever.
Incredible.
It's the number one
incredible
most watched video on Earn Your Leisure YouTube channel on the platform. Extremely impressive considering considering the content that's on there.
People want different information though. People are tired of mainstream, watered down. And I know people get on me about the takes and the curse. Like, people want honesty. We getting a bunch of fake.
Yeah.
I listened to it twice. I was like, wait a minute, make sure I caught everything.
People want realness.
Yeah.
Shout out to
and you got a new one dropping this week, so that's on Saturday. Shout out to him. Shout out to all, I think it's now Geminis, right? So shout out to all the Geminis out there. I know my brother-in-law Dave, his birthday was yesterday. My brother Hal, his birthday is on Thursday. Shout out to him. And Spence, shout out to Spence. His birthday is Friday. So
shout out to all
my Gemini family.
Shout out to all the Geminis out there with mood swings.
That's funny. I will say this on shorting. You guys only want to have 2 big shorts maximum per year. And if the ES gets to 3,500, you need to stop there for sure. Ease up around 3,600. So hypothetically, if you short the market from top to bottom, what's the maximum gain you can get without margin? Everybody focuses on Michael Burry's big short. They don't talk about when he is going long in the market for 5 and 6 years at a time. It is a mistake to short most assets, including crypto. I will say that for the record too. For those of you looking to short crypto, boy, the quickest way, you might as well set your money on fire, record it, put it on YouTube, and get some views. If you want to burn through your account fast, short Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, unless you know what you're doing. 2 shorts per year. You're trading against the predominant direction and all the predominant players in the market, but what do I know? Some just call me Trade Hova, the master investor. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Put yes in chat if I made y'all money. Y'all see my baby cute too in person, right? Too. You see he glowing. That's a reflection of this work his daddy put in. Not a lot of talk in this recession. I ain't got no review videos this time around, huh? Free smoke, free smoke. I'm just joking. This is
free smoke.
Dave, call me. I'm ready to go. Citadel, BlackRock, State Street, all y'all call me.
2 stocks Shakur, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
There you have it.
Hey, how was that thing y'all went to with the? I'm telling you, boy. I'll see. Y'all gonna do a butter rim too?
Above the rim.
Low key. Low key. Hey, I know who can play birdie. Bombers championship. Hey, let's get this moving.
One day at a time.
Yep.
One day at a time.
Yep.
Fact though.
Yeah. We're gonna make this thing light up.
You know.
Anywhere we go, we're gonna light up.
That's a fact.
We're gonna light up.
Get a little Jordan Poole or something. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Weezy, call Kenya
Please.
right now. I'm dead serious.
Oh, I gotta give her a call.
Kenya.
Actually, I'm glad you said that. She called me the other day. I missed her phone call. I gotta call her. I gotta call Weezy.
Yeah, please.
Shout out to Weezy.
Please call her.
Shout out
Yeah,
to Weezy.
we'll talk tomorrow. Set something up.
Yep.
All right, ladies.
Hollywood. Yes.
Enjoy the weekend. Memorial Day
Memorial
weekend.
Day, yeah.
Be safe. Have fun with your family.
Yep.
Hopefully it's good weather wherever you're at, so you can go to the
See y'all in
pool.
Vegas.
Yes,
Vegas. We
Shout
will
out
see
to-
y'all out there.
Shout out to Recession Proof.
Yeah.
And
Him 500 and the whole team. It's gonna be a special event. Shout out to him. And shout out to Ashley. We don't give Ashley. We gotta give
Shout out to
Ashley.
Ashley.
Let's give Ashley her flowers. Not only does she help put on Market Mondays events and Vest Fest, but she also does work with all the guys, Neo and him 500.
Ashley, I need you to plan my birthday party.
Ashley's
cut you off.
Ashley
I didn't text
incredible.
you. Well, hey, put in chat where we should go for my birthday.
the
Have a
moon.
big celebration.
Yeah.
Mars.
Bora Bora or something. we gotta leave. We gotta leave stateside for a little bit.
No, we gotta come back for the 5th though.
We'll be back in time. We'll be back. I can't wait till y'all make y'all announcement about the other. We was in the water. I said, boy, y'all plan to take over. Woo. Woo, baby. 7.7 million views first week. Boy. Can't wait. It's been fun.
Big mind things.
It's been real.
Can't wait.
Hollywood. Soon come.
Next up.
Next stop, Hollywood.
All right, y'all. Love is love. Be good to each other.
Peace.
Peace.